Is the new Natasha Denona Hy-Glam Foundation actually worth the hype? My name is Sarah. I have been using this foundation for over a month. My foundation is actually almost done, so I think now is the perfect time to review this foundation for you and tell you my honest thoughts about it. We go to everything. Packaging, application, how is the coverage, how long it wears, and the cost benefit. Is this actually worth the hype? First, we need to talk about the packaging. The package for the Natasha Denona Foundation, I think is actually really cute. Comes in this glass bottle that's not too thick, not too bulky, so it's actually really good to travel with. Like the most about it is that this foundation actually comes with a pump. In 2025, there are still brands for liquid foundations that don't have a pump, and I don't understand that because it just makes the application process way easier. A downside though that I need to mention is that the pump can get quite dirty, and this is not the only foundation that has happened with me. I also had the same issue with the House Labs foundation. So the applicator, like the pump, gets quite messy. I can clean it up, but eventually it will happen again. And I wish there was like a better control in the pump so it wouldn't get this messy. And I do keep mine all the time straight on my drawer. So I don't think it's because it's laying down. It's usually at like this direction, it's vertical direction. So if I had to pick a score from 0 to 5 for the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam Foundation packaging, I probably would give it a 4 because of the pump issue. Now we're going to talk about the Natasha Hy-Glam Foundation form a little bit before we see the application. So if I go to their website, the claims are that this foundation is a hydrating, blurring, long-wear serum foundation with a radiant, creaseless coverage. And I think it's almost correct for my experience. I do think this foundation is really hydrating. This is the foundation I'm wearing right now. It is a long-wearing foundation and it does have this radiance dewy finish. I even apply a bit of powder on top of mine. I do not think this foundation is blurring, or at least I don't see that difference on myself. And if we go to check the formula, and if we dig more into the formula, why they claim that, it's quite neat that you see that this foundation was actually formulated in Korea, but it's actually fabricated in Italy. So they create a formula, the ingredients, what we would put on in Korea, but they actually make it in Italy, which is quite nice, and I don't see that everywhere. As someone that has been using this foundation every day since I got it, I do need to say, I feel like this foundation is great. It's fantastic if you were looking for a medium to high coverage foundation, because I think this is a buildable coverage foundation. And I do see the difference. It's kind of insane when I see half of my skin without the foundation and half with it. I think it does a great job of covering most of my sun marks, most of my acne, and my redness too. The coverage in this foundation is truly incredible. I also love that it still looks like skin. I feel like it creates almost like a little layer on top of my skin, but makes my skin still look good. And I can apply less with a more fluffy brush and create like a light coverage foundation. I can apply more and build up medium, I would say, to high coverage. I don't think this would cover tattoos, but it's a pretty medium, almost high coverage foundation for me. I think we need to evaluate the formula with the application and how it looks on the skin. So this is after I apply the foundation. Today I'm gonna actually remove half of it so you can see my skin how it was before. And you can see this foundation like cover pretty well my acne, my sun marks over here. I'm taking half of my face off. So I think it's really incredible the difference when you see half of my skin with the foundation and half without. This foundation does a great job covering redness, covering acne, even like the sun marks that I had here, and it still looks pretty natural, I think. So I think the coverage to this foundation, if I need to give a 0 to 5, is totally a 5 because it does give that buildable medium coverage, almost a high coverage, I would say. And that's my favorite part of this foundation. The other claim that this foundation has is that this is a blurring foundation, and I honestly don't see a difference. Like I don't see a difference like in the size of my pores or anything like that. So I think that's a claim that we could have skipped it. I don't really see much of a difference there. It probably has some active ingredients that help with that, but at the end of the day, I don't really see that difference. The other thing that they say about this foundation is that this is a long wear foundation, and I think it is, but I don't think I would wear it the entire day without any touch-ups. I usually use this foundation. I usually use this foundation. I would say this wears really well for about 6 hours. And if you apply a little powder or maybe like a blurring setting spray like the Danessa Marex one, it probably will get you to about 8 to 9 hours of wear. But I wouldn't say this is like over 12 hours. I see some wear out of this foundation is what I'm trying to say. And this is another point that's important. I think this foundation is really hydrating, gives that beautiful radiance effect that I was using in the beginning of the video. But I think it works extremely well for people with dry skin and combination skin like myself. However, if you have combination skin like me or if you have oily skin, I still think this is a really good foundation because it gives that medium coverage right away. But it is extremely dewy radiant. So if you have oily skin and you don't want to look greasy, or if you have combination skin but you don't like that excess of radiant looking, what I like to do, and I would suggest you to do, is to apply a little bit of a loose powder on top of this foundation. That makes a lot of difference, I think, in the wear time, and also remove the excess of shine that this foundation has. Setting powder or the blurring setting spray by Danessa Marex. I tried them both and they worked really well for me. Just reapplied my foundation so you could see the difference, see myself without the foundation and with it. And I also like I said, I like to apply the powder on top, especially on my T-zone, to make sure that the area doesn't look too oily. I love the fact that this foundation comes in 52 shades, so if you have a chance to go like in person to try out this foundation, it might be helpful for you if someone can help you color match. I was actually really lucky and I found my color right away online. The shade that I'm wearing, the shade N4, is for light neutral skin, but I know I had a friend that tried this foundation a couple times and she got the wrong color for herself. So after she went to Sephora, she was actually able to color match and she has been loving this foundation. She does have mature skin and she loves it too because this foundation has like a minimal settle to the fine lines. It's not much at all, so she loves that. I'm 33 years old right now, so I'm starting to see some fine lines like in my forehead, a little bit under my arm, but it's nothing like a lot yet, but I really love the finish and the coverage of this foundation. Mine I can see is almost towards the end, but I'm for sure I'm gonna repurchase this soon because I love how it looks. If I need to give a score for the coverage of this foundation from 0 to 5, that would definitely be a 5. And if I need to think about the long wearing for this foundation, for how much it claims and how it looks in my skin, especially because they say this is a self-setting foundation, but I also feel like I always need to apply a little powder on top, I would probably give it a 4. Now we need to talk about the cost benefit for this foundation. This foundation is a high-end foundation and it's sold for $52 when it's full price. $52 is a bit of a pricey product, but I think it's up to pair with the other high-end foundations that deliver a similar effect. The one that is closest, I think, is the Haus Labs foundation. Let me double check how much that one is running for right now. The Haus Labs Skin Tech foundation is being sold for $49 right now, so it's a little bit cheaper than this one, but I think they are kind of similar in a way. They both have that beautiful dewy skin, they give a beautiful coverage, they are really good to hiding the redness on the skin. I just love how this one has been looking my skin recently, so I'm gonna definitely repurchase a new one. So yes, I need to say, I think the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam Foundation is actually worth the hype. If you have tried this foundation already, let me know in the comments what's your experience. Do you like it or not and why? See you next video. Bye!